Hello everyone, this is Highlander from MTG Cardsmith doing another custom Magic the Gathering card review, and today we're reviewing another card by Mila. And we've got a floating squirrel here. Oh, just look at this art. Just look at this art. Look at how cute that is. She's floating on an acorn. This is a big acorn or a tiny squirrel? I don't know which. It's either a huge acorn or a tiny squirrel. Okay, so let's see what we got going on here. Oh, it's even got a little squirrel symbol. How nice. Okay, so this is a Simic card. It's a 1/1 with Island Walk. When floating squirrel enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 green sapling creature token, then populate. The great rain flooded the whole forest, but the floating acorns carried us into new realms and immediately turned into seedlings that spoke of a bright future for us to come. Okay, floating squirrel, huh? Floating squirrel, you say? So, I do have a few issues with this design. First of all, I don't see anything blue about this card. I mean, Island Walk, you see that plenty of times on green cards. What's that snake? What's that snake? The name's Snake. I got the stuff. River Boa, right? Yeah, we got some Island Walk here going on, Mr. River Boa, right? So, you know, I guess you could maybe say Island Walk is like accounts for this blue, but to me, this looks like just a straight up green card. All right, just a straight up green card. The other thing is like, yeah, it's a little, this one, like the flavor is a little off to me, right? Like, okay, I mean, I get why it's a 1/1 Island Walk. You know, I get it, right? It's like floating down the river, right? But the fact that when this enters the battlefield, you get 2 saplings, or, you know, even better, you could get a sapling and like something else, some other token, is a little bit of a flavor fail to me, right? Like, because you're saying when the floating air, it's like when they get carried downstream, you get your seedlings, right? But this is, it doesn't need to flow downstream. It just needs to show up, and then bam, you get your saplings, saplings, excuse me. So, I don't know. I feel like this one would work better if like it did this. Like, okay, if this card, like, was like, okay, blue, red, green, blue, 1/1 Island Walk. Whenever it deals combat damage to an opponent, create a 1/1 green sapling. Like, that's it. That would actually fit, I think, better, because it's like, okay, well, him hitting the player is like him going downstream, right? And then bam. Or you could make it like sacrifice this, or, you know, give it suspend, or, you know, there's some various things you can do to sort of like hit this flavor. I mean, like, as it stands right now, like with using this wording, I mean, really the only thing flavor-wise that works here is Island Walk, and I don't think you should really be using Island Walk as a mechanic. And the reason for that is that this is another thing that Wizards has stopped doing in their designs, is using these land walk abilities. And the reason for that is it's similar to why they don't do protection really anymore. Protection from colors. And I know there's like weird corner cases where they sometimes still use these things, right? But, you know, we're talking about like in these like 99% of the time, they're not using Island Walker protection from colors anymore. And the reason for that is because it's a color hoser that, it's like a feel bad color hoser, right? Because if you play this in your deck and your opponent is not blue, then this card, like, the Island Walk's irrelevant, right? So it's like you're I don't know, like it's obviously still like a 2 mana for 3 bodies, which is above curve, but if they happen to be playing blue, then it's like they just randomly get hosed just because of the fact that they chose to play a blue deck, you know. Now, like, I know there is like the concept of sideboarding, right? But Wizards is kind of they've done some color hosing that feels a little bit better nowadays. So, for example, if you look at like Scryfall, if you look at like Red Cap Melee, for example, right? This is a card that deals 4 damage to a creature or planeswalker. If a non-red permanent is dealt damage this way, you sacrifice a land. So it's like, you can actually play this in any deck, and it's actually relevant in any deck, but there's a downside if you're targeting a non-red, right? Or there's like a similar one, like a black one that like lets you like, not duress. It lets you like Thoughtseize somebody. But if you don't pick a black card, you have to like exile a card from your hand or something like that, right? So like that's like the kind of thing that's a little bit better, because it's like in every situation your card does something, but it's better against the other colors, but not in such a way where it's like annoying, you know, like yeah, you're getting a little extra value, but it's not like you can't kill this creature in like the example of protection, right? Or in this case, you can't block this creature. Anyway, sorry, I had to take a break there to calm down some dogs. So anyway, yeah, so okay, so I mentioned a couple issues. So I'm not a big fan of Island Walk, and Wizards doesn't really do it either. I get, flavor-wise, it's kind of cute here, but I don't know, maybe, but I mean, I love the idea of floating a squirrel, but I don't think that this card really screams floating squirrel to me. Like, if this, especially if this flavor text wasn't here, I'd be like, why, right? It's kind of like barely eking by flavor-wise, so I think you could probably make some modifications to this to make it feel more like a floating squirrel. I mean, like one thing you could do, for example, is you could make this thing like at some point go get a forest or island. That'd be kind of neat, because then that kind of works, right? He floats downstream and he finds another land, right? And it's either a river or it's the forest. Something like that would be kind of neat. And the last issue I'm going to say is you're using the wrong border here. You're using the hybrid mana border instead of the gold border for Simic. You only use the hybrid border if you have a hybrid mana cost. So that's a little bit of an issue. I know some people think it looks nice, and it does, but it's the wrong border. So it's distracting. So yeah, a little unfortunate here. Like I really love the idea of floating squirrel, but it doesn't 100% get there for me flavor wise. I mean, it's a fine card. Like outside of the Island Walk, like honestly, if this just said like floating squirrel can't be blocked, like I'd be fine with that, right? Like this doesn't really need the Island Walk. So yeah. Or you could say, like, as long as you control an island, floating squirrel can't be blocked. That would be maybe another way to do it, where it's sort of on your end. And then you still have the flavor of, you need to be in a river or whatnot. So, yeah, I would... The flavor doesn't quite grab me on this one, unfortunately, which is too bad because, I like Mr. Squirrely Boy here. But, so yeah, a couple issues with this card. I'll still give it a 3 out of 5. The idea is there. But the execution's a little off, and there are a few issues with this one. So, yeah, 3 out of 5 for Floating Squirrel. Thank you guys for watching.